response from a website somewhere in California that's called Angels Online, and they wanted to print us. But we're seeing angels, and all we're doing is changing the names to photons. I kind of like photons better than angels. It's not religious, and it sounds more
realistic. That's for sure.
Yeah, because there are photons, that's for sure. And they are light, and they are messengers. And they do fly with the speed of light all over the place. And as Anton Zeilinger in Austria said, and they can go from one end of the galaxy to the other, like that. No, when we used to talk about, oh, well, interplanetary travel, it would take so long, it takes light years to get from one place to the other. Now we're finding, how long does it take? Like that. So we looked at all of these things. And now we're looking at the changes. You're thinking of the changes that are happening in politics? Look at the changes that have happened to you. Look at the way you think compared to the way you used to think. Look at the way people have changed their approach to medicine. You know, it's holistic and going back to nature, and doctors even going back to nature, and meditation places showing up in hospitals. All this, where did this all come from? Tremendous changes all over the place. And these are these first touchdowns of this magnetic change. And what do we look at? What did we look at in order to reach a conclusion as to what was going on? And I used the Bible. What else have I got? I don't have any other book that can take me back into antiquity. And so we looked at it, and on the very first page of the Bible, and you have one there, you know where the first page is. It's not hard to find. In the very first page of the Bible. Yeah, page 1. I mean, some of the others, when you get up to 2 and 3, it gets tough. I know, but this is 1, and this is easy. I'm teasing you. But when you look at Genesis 1, and if you look at verse 14, let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs. First page of the Bible. If this is God writing this, he said, look up into the sky at the lights in the sky. They will be the signs I will use. But who does? And now all of these people are part of this tremendous change and the difficulties that are going to be experienced. Oh my God, I mean, if you look all over the place, where you find, like in Hong Kong, which was, we were just talking about this, all of these, all of these things, the whole place is falling apart. The stock market is just in a constant state of shaking, shaking, shaking. It's like, how long do you wait? Do you just stand there and watch something shake and not realize that it's going to fall? Certainly. Because that's the way it is. But see, and you can say, oh gosh, this will be terrible. The reason it's not terrible is that this is orchestrated by God. And whenever you come in to clean a room, you have to sweep the dirt out in order to make it clean. But when the dirt is swept out, and there's something that Jesus said, and it's on page 793 of the Bible, and it's in Matthew chapter 16. And it's something that, you should, I would hope that you are farther advanced than the person walking down the street who does not know about these things. And that you would understand what Jesus is talking about in Matthew chapter 16 and in verse 2. He says, what in his evening you say, it'll be fair weather because the sky is red. And in the morning you say, it'll be foul weather because the sky is red. But he says, you hypocrites, you can discern the face of the sky, but you cannot discern the signs of the times. And that's the problem. And I know everybody wants everything. And what do you want? You want everything to go along good. You want a new car, you want a new house, you want all of these things, you want a better job, you want a raise, you want good health, you want all of these things. Absolutely. But what are you going to do? Too much evil crept in with all of these things. Too many people were not given a chance to have the very things that everybody wants. Too many people live in cardboard. Too many people are oppressed by systems of the world. Too many people suffer. The animals, that's just as important to nature. The welfare of the animals is just as important to nature. And they suffer because there's an evil. And so the dirt has to be swept out of the room so that the place can be clean. And that's what the magnetism will do. And it'll be difficult for a lot of people. But it will not be difficult for you if you are harmonizing and polarizing in your meditation. As it says in the Bible, 1,000 may fall on your left and 1,000 may fall on your right, but no harm will come to you. But you got to be adult about this. Say, oh, this will be terrible. I mean, an earthquake is only terrible if you live too close to it. And if they tell you there's a storm coming and everybody has to evacuate, if you don't evacuate, well... So where did all of this start? That we got involved. Where did all of this come from? Well, you remember, we started talking about, the first thing was the key, the Coptic key. And if you don't know about the Coptic key, I'll be glad to sit with you. I will sit with you with anything. I have offered to sit with the children, your children, and explain to your children in a way that they can understand without any fear attached to it what's going on here. Scientifically, not on the basis of any religion or any spirituality, but scientifically, so they know what's going on. And they should know what's going on. Your kids are going to be here in 2 years. And I'll explain, and I'll sit with anybody that wants to know about the Coptic key, and I'll be glad to sit with you. If you have the stuff that I gave out, there's 85 pages of it. If any of you have just come here and you don't know what the beginning page, I'll go through page by page with you, so catch you up so that you understand. Okay. So the Coptic key, and there was this symbol with 8 circles, so he said, remember what he said? This might mean 8 planets. What happened? Right after we talked about that, and you know this is true, what happened? In Switzerland, they discovered Pegasus. And then bang, 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 bang. They discovered 8 planets, and then they hit the 9th at Corona, the crown. And then, after that, Hubble showed the Hourglass Nebula, God's eye in the sky. Do you have a copy of that? Yeah. Would you show it to the camera? That was the Hourglass Nebula, God's eye in the sky. So this is an amazing set of circumstances that occurred, and we followed it here. And on television, Joan is just showing you. This is the picture that came down from Hubble. And when you look at that picture, remember Jesus said, if your eye be single, your body will fill with light. And Rene Descartes talked about the pineal gland of the brain, the single eye. And there's a picture. Is that God's eye in the sky? How can you say it's not? Okay? All right, fine. Thank you. But we looked at that, and right after we discussed that, they discovered the 8 planets. And for those of you who don't have it, I am going to give you today a lineup of the 8 planets, a lineup with their ancient names, a lineup of what they mean, and a lineup of who discovered each one of them. Scientific. What scientists discovered them, where they were discovered. Now, the 8 planets. And then the other part of that key was the word Azozio, wasn't it? And Azozio was just fulfilled a few weeks ago. Because what is Azozio? AZO light. Zio light filtered by crystal. Where was the situation in which we just saw light filtered by crystal? In the Innsbruck experiment. The polarization. The change of polarization of the photon. Light that was filtered. And so this was fulfilled in that Innsbruck experiment. And this shows you how exactly when Dr. Selinger talks about how a photon can get from one part of the galaxy to another part of the galaxy instantly, it's this way. It's by polarization. And now what was the third part? 4555. We found out that 4555 is a galaxy in the constellation Coma. And you know what? It hasn't revealed itself yet. This has. They discovered the planets. This has. They showed us polarization, light filtered by crystal. This hasn't, but it will. Want to see a picture of Home Sweet Home? Here it is. I show everybody? It's only a little dot in the center of a black mass or blue mass, but so is Earth. But 4555 is a galaxy in the constellation Coma, and who might live there? And so that has not revealed itself as yet. This has in the Innsbruck experiment, and this has in the discovery of the 8 planets by the various scientists. Okay, thank you. Just leave it off. Just put it somewhere for the time being. Now, so we came through the symbol. We came through the planetary discoveries. And each week you came here and we shared these things together, didn't we? We came also through a long period of understanding the parts of the body, your body, in connection with the Scripture. Such things like that you have in the stuff there is manna from heaven. We found out is mannitol, which is sugar. And we then looked at brain sugar because the brain is the heavenly part of the body. We found that brain sugar is galactose, which is a sweet, milky substance. And then we looked in the Bible and it says, I'll bring you up to a land flowing with milk and honey. And we put all of these things together in every part of the body. The brain, and the spine, the sacrum, the holy place, with the 5 to come together, all this kind of stuff. We went all through that. And as I said, I know, it sounds confusing and whatever, but I will be glad to spend as much time with you individually and help you catch up or help you find these things, because you have pages and pages of stuff that I'm sure a lot of you say, you don't even know what it means. And it's fun when you know what it means. And so then we saw this great nebula, and we looked again at the world and how things in so many places are having their traditional values and ideals come crumbling down. And that's all you hear on TV, isn't it? We need to return back to our traditional values. They'll never go. There was a lot of good things in traditional values, but there were some bad things. And one of the bad things was it forced a part of the population of the world to submit to another part. It forced women to submit to men. It was an evil. And so it can come back that way. Values were wonderful as long as everybody is treated equally and fairly. And you can't oppress one group and say, oh, we need to return to that. And that's what they want to do. And then we went to Revelation and we brought ourselves to the 7th angel that we now know as an angle of light and magnetism, and that the 7 angels of the book of Revelation are actually the 7 angles of light. The 7th angel is the 7th angle, which would be at the pineal gland of the brain, the 7th chakra, if you would. And you know there are no such things as chakras. You do know that. I mean, the doctor can operate on you. You'll never find one because they're not there. Again, these are words just like spirit and soul. These are words used by people who knew something was there, but they didn't know what to call it because they didn't know what it was. Basically, there are nerves and there are resistance points that run up the spine of the body, and that's where the electricity passes through. So, okay, I'm not going to say there's no such thing as chakras, but what I am saying to you is that what chakra means is resistance points that run along the spine. Because people get freaked out. They want there to be chakras. Even though they're not there, they want them to be because everybody says they're there. I spent $250 going to a seminar, and they said it was chakras. You're saying there's no chakras. But I don't charge anything. That's a good deal. But anyhow, if you look at page 1011 in Revelation 16 and verse 17, you see, this is what I wanted to tell you. First of all, there's some young children here and sitting in this room. And I want you to tell you that this change that is coming upon the earth, even though it gets a little bit confusing, is God's change. And it's a good change. And not to be afraid of it, but to understand it. In the same way that you have to not be afraid of a storm, but understand it and be prepared for it. And you'll be fine. Because God would not do anything to hurt anybody. But he will sweep the floor and make it clean. And the dirt that's going to go out is not going to be happy. But anyhow, Revelation 16 says in verse 17, and the 7th angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven saying, it is done. Now, where did it come from? Where did the voice come from? Out of the temple of heaven. And the only temple of heaven that exists is the consciousness, the mind. And here is the point where you realize it is done. Not that it is finished, but something has happened. It is accomplished. See, you see what it says there, the temple of heaven? The voice came out of the temple of heaven. What is heaven? Heaven is the kingdom of God, isn't it? Isn't heaven God's kingdom? Of course it is. Well, then look at page 853. And in page 853 in the book of Luke, in Luke chapter 17 and verse 21, why don't you repeat it after me? We'll do it like they do in all of the big churches. Everybody read from the Word of God. Open, if you would, to chapter 17 of the book of St. Luke. Are you having a good time? Oh, yeah, yes. Thank you, Billy Bob. Luke chapter 17 and verse 21. Shall we read it together? Neither shall they say, here or there, for behold, the kingdom of God is within you. So now we know where this is going to come from. And the seventh angel, being the seventh angle, being the seventh chakra, the pineal gland of the brain, this great voice come out, it is done. In other words, you have reached inside of yourself to this place where now you can flow in this polarization or harmony with the angle of light or the angel of light, which is God. And now, in the same time, the angle of light will, in the macroscope, macrocosm, from the universe to the earth will be doing and adjusting in the same way. So not only will it happen from the earth, from the universe to the earth, but it will happen inside of you from the base to the pineal to the mind. The electromagnetism, the angles of light begin to arrive on the earth, and the great change has begun. And we saw this several years ago, and the very first wave that moved through was that we could see that something was happening, was the total elimination of the Soviet Union. It went away. The wall, and all of these things would happen. And then, as you remember, the Prime Minister of Israel who was killed, he was hugging Yasser Arafat, and everybody was in love. And of course, during this period of time, a lot of other people have raised their heads and said, stop this. Do you remember what happened to the Israeli Prime Minister who was hugging Yasser Arafat, and they were getting along and walking hand in hand? And he got killed. He got killed. Why? Because he was making peace. That's what's going to happen. And as this peace comes down upon the earth, there are so many who can't deal with it. You're going to change things. It's going to upset the status quo. I mean, for God's sakes, all you got to do is look. If you realized the drug companies that run this country, and they cannot and will not allow you to have non-drug types of things to help you because it'll destroy their economy. I mean, it's really amazing. And it goes on all the time. Oprah Winfrey is getting sued because she told everybody, hey, you shouldn't grind up body parts of animals, feeding them to other animals. That's wrong. They don't want anybody to know that. They don't want, you just eat the hamburger and shut up. Don't worry about what they put in. That's the system. But you see, there's something coming down from above. And there's an angle of light, an angel of light who says, McDonald's, no way. See? So the changes are going to happen. And look at page 1011, Revelation 16:18. And Revelation 16:18 says, and there were voices, and thunders and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake. Since not as men were upon the earth, it's so mighty an earthquake. And see, the voices are within you, the feeling that you have. That you know. You may not be able to express it to anybody, but it speaks to you inside. That's why you sit here and listen to me. Lightnings and thunders are awareness and enlightenment. You know things. You realize. You're starting to flow back into this harmony with nature. And earthquakes are And this is the thing. This is not talking about real earthquakes, because real earthquakes go on every 2 seconds. There's an earthquake. Earthquakes never stop. Earthquakes are absolutely essential because the earth is totally turning on itself. But the earthquakes, the book of Revelation is an occult book. The earthquakes being spoken of in the book of Revelation are the falling down, the shaking down of all the traditional things that you hold on to, all lying in smoke, destroyed. Because they're evil. You can't oppress people and say, we're having prosperity. You can't hurt. You can't segregate people outside. And you can't destroy. I mean, God, aren't you aware? Look what's happening. The abuse against animals in these slaughter places and this way that we have gone against nature in preparing these animals is stacking them on top of one another. And now you've got things that you never heard of before. E. coli, you never even knew there was such a thing. Bird flu, you never heard of such a thing. Mad cow disease, all of these things start. Okay. Because nature starts to lift its paw, if you would, and say, this is wrong. So this is the first time, and never such as people were upon the earth, because the last magnetic shift that was of any substantial size was the one that wiped out the dinosaurs. But you have magnetic shifts like this about every 3,000 years, 2,500 to 3,000 years. And I've got news for you. According to the scientists, you're due. But once again, remember, God is involved in this one. And it's an exciting, wonderful time for people, for nature, and for the animals of the world. And it says in Revelation 16:19 on page 1011, and the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon came into remembrance, to give unto her the wine of the fierceness of his wrath and all this. The great city is the human brain, the mind. It's always been divided into 2 parts, hasn't it? What we call the left and right, which really is not so. But anyhow, we'll say the intellect, and if, for the lack of a better word, the spirit. But you remember what happened in the Austrian experiment real quick? It was in 2 parts, wasn't it? There was well, we'll call it us, we'll call A, and we came out, and then there was B, which we said was Jesus, and we come down to the splitter, and he came down here, and the 2 of us came together, didn't we? I'm saying the Austrian experiment, which you have on page 82 of the stuff I gave you. And as soon as these 2 came together, something happened. A 3rd part happened, because A went here. So there was a 3rd part. So it was divided into 3. And then it says, when this happened, the cities of the nations fell. So now there's a lot of people who are looking at this Clinton thing, and they're all excited and happy because they hate this guy. But they don't understand the ominous nature of what's going to happen here. This has nothing to do with him. This has nothing to do with him. And there's nobody that can stop this. Because if it's not this, it'll be something else. It's just the confusion. But that's the teleportation, is when you no longer just have the 2 parts. See, all of your life, every religion, everything was always 2 parts. Jesus comes into you. But nobody could ever prove anything. There was never a 3rd part. But now the teleportation in his book has proved the 3rd part, because now you have gone up and you have raised yourself up to this 3rd part. And that's what happened in the Austrian experiment. And you can see it on the diagram, which you have on page 82. And when it says the cities of the nations fell, it's the traditions of earthly civilization which have been so difficult. Religions and traditions which can no longer hold people captive. How do I say this without offending people?
Authoritarian systems don't help people.
What is going on in Cuba is an amazing description of two institutions that hold people captive, telling each other how to do it better.
The blind leading the blind.
So that's the reference. The reference to the great Babylon. Babylon took Israel captive. And that's the bondage that prevents people from finding their true inner nature. And you as free people, not attached to anything. You can't even attach yourself to the government. You're just free. You attach yourself to the universe. And the wrath of nature will fall on these systems, which have held back the progress of human civilization. So there are 2 points that I want to make, and especially with some of these things, to children especially, can be frightening. And I want you to be very careful in explaining to the children that this is God, so the change will be good. But it will upset people who have moved in the status quo. And that's the first point. The second point is, it has already begun. It has not. You're not. Do you ever see sometimes when there's a hurricane coming and you see them on television and the guy will talk there? Well, everything is fairly calm here, Charles, but there is a little breeze kicking up off the ocean. That little breeze. Yeah, the flags are starting to. The little breeze is the first. I mean, it's coming. In other words, something is coming. And when it comes, it's not a little breeze, is it? They can't even go out anymore. Now the roofs are falling off and the signs are flying and the boats are flying up the highway and all of this kind of stuff is happening. What happened to the little breeze? But the little breeze says something's coming, doesn't it? But how did we know? You knew. You knew. How did you know? Look at Revelation 19:11, page 1013. What is this book of Revelation, incidentally? It's an occult book written by Greeks of extreme mystical persuasion, with respect to numerology. All this kind of stuff is loaded in this thing. How it ever got into the Bible with these guys who God had to do this because they never. You see, the reason they didn't eliminate it is because they didn't understand it. A little method to the madness. Revelation 19:11. And I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him was faithful and true, and in righteousness he does judge and make war. But not war on people. He makes war on systems that hurt people. Some of you were not here when we saw this cosmic prophecy fulfilled. Behold, heaven opened, and I saw a white horse. And there they were, 2 scientists, in a little dinky place in Switzerland. Nobody even knew where this place is. Switzerland. Next time, oh Lord. And here they are, running around in their little shorts going. But in this little place here, these 2 guys are. And these 2 guys have got this thing. And they saw something. And what they saw was, what they saw was a star, a sun, that was a twin of ours. And the sun was orbiting a planet. Now, they didn't see it. There's a way there, but the exciting part was this was just like our sun, and this had never happened before, ever. This was the first time. And the Bible said, behold, heaven opened, and I saw a white horse. And guess where this was? In the constellation Pegasus, the white horse. October 10th, 1995, in Switzerland. And then Dr. Jeffrey Marcy and Dr. Paul Butler in San Francisco State University confirmed it. And many other scientists said, you're full of baloney, or words to that effect. But they just come out with a big release, and the newspaper said, no, they weren't. It's a planet. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you, because you may not have it, and you can make it as part of number 86. Hold just a second, Joan. She's ready to go. Hold just a second. I'm going to give you the article that says, now there are 10. Okay? And it tells you about that discovery of Pegasus. Make it number 86 in your stuff. And when you get... Okay. And it talks about the Switzerland, and it talks about... But there's a second part that's important to this. I want you to look at page 1014, Revelation 19:14. Okay? After you had... I saw him on the white horse, and it says in Revelation 19:14, and the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses. So we not only have the white horse Pegasus, but now we have armies following him on the white horses. And I'm going to give you, as number 87, this article from the Associated Press. Hubble finds possible evidence of black hole amid Pegasus. But this is what it says. Peering deeply into a spot seen from Earth, the Hubble scope has discovered either a black hole or, an equal rarity, thousands of stars rushing towards the core of a globular cluster.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like bees swarming to their hive is how the Space Telescope science. And then it says spectra can tell us how far the stars are moving and whether they are moving toward us or away from us. So we not only had 1911, behold, I saw the white horse, but we had 1914, thousands following him on white horse. Hey, I'm not giving you smoke and feathers here. This is the Associated Press. So now, Miss Joan and all of your cohort, now you can do it. 86 and 87. Okay? Make it part of that. I might have given that to you before, but I want you to, and do it fast, please.
That's all he has to say.
You let her start when she wanted to.
Yeah, that's right.
Mr. Mike.
Mr. Mike. Thank you, Mr. Mike.
Uncle Mike. Okay. Now, you'll see in that material, which is numbered 86 from the Associated Press, the discovery in Pegasus, which fulfilled Revelation 19:11. And what I'd like you to look at is that they say that the sun was quite like our own, which would be an indication of the second coming of our sun. And on 87, you'll see the armies in heaven followed him, thousands of stars rushing towards the core of a globular cluster. Okay? All right? Okay, they're moving along slowly, but they're all getting a little older. I guess. I don't know what. Ooh. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Everybody got, do you see, you got 86, so you got the discovery there of Pegasus, okay? Now, do you have 87? Do you see where it says on page 87, like bees swarming? Those are the two I want you to keep in mind when you compare Revelation 1911 and 1914. Okay, so we'll put that under a microscope. All right? Now, Joan, come on, I got one more to go. We got to get going here. Ethel, you're in the front of the camera. That's it. Okay. Joan, you're in the front of the camera. All right. Now, listen, just stand over here for a minute. Ethel, sit down.
I'm not done.
Okay. What I'm going to give you now is page 88. All right? And page 88 will show you, for lack of a better word, the chakra. It'll show you the planet which was discovered. It'll show you the meaning under Dendera. When you see the word Dendera, Dendera is the most ancient meaning, okay? And then it'll show you what the star means. Then at the very bottom, it'll show you the under sky, the planet, the Bible scripture that identifies the planet, what it is a figure of, again Dendera, and again the star. On the back side of this, you will find a list of the name of the scientist, the planet they discovered, and the coordinates, so that you can go out to a star map and locate any one of these planets that were discovered. And I want you to notice, too, on the coordinates, the letters RA. And when you think that Jesus ascended to sit at the right hand of the Father, you'll understand that everything that moves upward in that path of the sun is called celestial right ascension. And that's how it moves. Okay? Off you go. Quick, make this a little quicker.
No.
Okay. So, now, I think if you look at that quickly, I mean, you can take your time with that when you get home or something, but this is important that you have this, because it will give you, folks on TV, just bear with me, and if you want any of this stuff, just send a self-addressed stamped envelope, and you want to throw a couple bucks in there, that won't hurt. But, okay, I can't find, can I borrow that? Nah, let me say, Joan, would you let me have one of those. Okay. If you look real quick at this, look on the front of this, and you see the chakra on the left side? Okay, then you see under sky, that's the way that that's the order that the planets were discovered in: Pegasus, Virgo, Ursa, Cancer, Boots, Andromeda, Leo, and Cygnus. Okay, and then the meaning is the ancient meaning from Dendera. That's the oldest meaning of these things. And then the last one is what the star means. If you look at the bottom, you'll see the same rotation in which the planets were discovered, and the Bible scriptures that go along with each. What there is a figure of, again, the Dendera meaning, and the ancient name for the star. Turn it over to the back side, and down the left side, you'll see the names of the scientists who found it. In the center of discovery will show you that the planet they discovered, and then over to the right is your coordinates, which you can find. RA is right ascension, 22.57, and DC is declination, either plus or minus, whatever it may be. So there they all are. So you've got them. Make that as part of 88, because it's a very important thing. It's part of the Coptic key, and it was part of the initial thing that we had when we started looking at what we're coming to now, which is the changes that you're experiencing. Okay. So Pegasus, just give me a few more minutes on that. Pegasus was the first definitive fulfillment of a cosmic event. Now, let me ask you one other thing, real quick, of why this is so important. Do any of you have the stuff with you that I gave out? Okay, this is why it's so important. Not only is Pegasus seen as a fulfillment of a cosmic event in the sky, and we know that it is, because you've got the proof of it there, all right? But there's something else about it. In your brain, the point of memory is called hippocampus. Okay? That word means seahorse. Okay? Hippocampus means seahorse. If you go to watch a horse show somewhere, you go to the hippodrome. That's where they have horse shows. Now, the father of the sea monsters in mythology is Poseidon. Okay? Poseidon. Now listen to me real carefully, because this is important, because we're trying to make a connection here. Poseidon is also the father of Pegasus. Okay? Seahorse is the hippocampus of your brain. Poseidon is the father of the seahorses. Poseidon is the father of Pegasus. But there's a problem, because in the Bible it says, "Behold, I saw a white horse." All right? Now look at this. You can look up in the sky and say, well, it's a constellation, it's a star, that's a white horse. I want you, if you can, look at the stuff that I gave you and look at page 34. All right? On page 34 of the material, if you've got it with you, there's something very, very interesting. Because it says here, if you go down to where it says the hippocampus, do you see that? Is a white eminence 2 inches in length. So it is not only a horse, which is Pegasus, it's a white horse. And where is it? In your head. Okay? So there. It's in your head. It's in the sky. Look up at the sky, but look up at yourself, and behold, a white horse. And he that sits upon, and who is he that sits upon him? Okay, and you know who sits upon him. Okay, so now the white eminence, which is the memory part of the brain, provides to you as something else does. Of the 12 signs of the zodiac, you have 12 cranial nerves. Okay? Now, I just wanted to review something. Remember I said to you in Revelation 16:19 on page 1011, the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell. The minds of competition are destroyed. Do you know how many, and I know some of you are very successful. I have been quite successful in business and working. You know, I have a responsible job, and I still have. And you know, what I do is I make sure that all of the cable systems for the company I work for in New Jersey and Pennsylvania are in line with the rules and regulations of state, federal, and local governments. And they just asked me in a letter to take over the country, to do it for all the cable systems in the country. Now, so I mean, you know, but there's a lot of people that can't do that. There's a lot of people that can't do what you do. But there's no room for those people. And it's competition. It's a dog-eat-dog. It's subjecting masses of people to religious thought and corporate greed. And what it says here, and the cities of the nations fell. But you say, well, they're still here. But you can see the shaking going on. We talked about the Soviet Union. You remember, I remember when they said, well, the Palestinians want their own state. Well, that'll never happen. But they've got it. And what has come down all over the world that has religious people more freaked out than anything? Something called the New Age. Where'd it come from? What did somebody say? I think I'll start a New Age. I'll get everybody to read these goofy books and put crystals on their head and wave smoke and feathers. Hey, I'll get us all. That's silly. Something happened. The Pope and Fidel are together. That's really wild. The stock market falters, nature strikes back, E. coli, bird, doctors considering herbs. What's going on? The changes are like the breeze before a hurricane. And if you're feeling the breeze and if you're reading the paper, don't just stand there. Don't just stand there. Now, how did Jesus put this as to what's happening and what's going to happen? Whether it be with Clinton. Clinton's just a man. But there's so much attached to him. Governments all over the world. But how did Jesus put what's about to happen? And I think you should read it, and it's very important. It's on page 882. And it's in John chapter 16. And in John chapter 16, he says in verse 21, a woman, when she is in travail, has sorrow because her hour is come. And my friends, our hour is come. But as soon as she is delivered of the child, she remembers no more the anguish for joy that a man is born into the world. You see a little bit of the anti-female thing? She's happy because a man is born in the world. But that, don't let that discredit what's being said here. The point is, all change creates sorrow for someone, doesn't it? And this change will create sorrow for those of religion, for those of tradition, for those of money. But when the change is completed, the child is born. The child that's been born in so many of you that allows you to do the things that you can do, see the things that you can see, feel the thing. This is God. This is good. And there's one last thing, and I'll let you go. There's one last thing that Jesus has said that just about everybody that I can see here has accomplished in his prophecy. I say, I don't know of anybody that I can see sitting has not recognized it inside of yourself and fulfilled the words of Jesus. That's what makes me so excited about this, because everything that Jesus has said that we have fulfilled. And this is what he said. Just read this with me, and then you've got it. Page 801 in Matthew 24. Page 801 in Matthew 24. And this is what he said. Verse 15. When you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel, the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whoever reads this, let him understand. You see those right there? Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Now, when you understand that there is the horror of desolation in you, when you understand that the beautiful, pleasant portion of God inside of you is desolate and overgrown with weeds, then flee to the mountain. Yeah? Those who are of Judea camp at the right side, at the right hemisphere of the brain. They have to flee into the mountains of the mind, the higher places of the mind. And this is what you have done. I don't care if you don't come. If you don't come here for meditation, doesn't mean you don't meditate. You go sit on the john and you turn the light off and you sit there for 10 seconds. You're gone. Who cares? But I know you know, and I know you know that that pleasant part of you cannot be desolate, cannot be overgrown with weeds, because it's God's part. But you're going there and you're pruning the tree of life in your meditation, in your polarization. Seeing the abomination of desolation is realizing that God's holy place, the right hemisphere of your brain, is desolate. No one goes there. When Jesus said, cast your net to the right side, he was talking about no one does. But you who work in meditation are tilling the garden. You are working, turning the polarization, anticipating this great light, anticipating the next thing to come from 45, 55, waiting anxiously for this green light to be fulfilled. You're doing that. Now, lastly, who in the world caused your beautiful, pleasant place to become desolate? Go to page 633. And on page 633, there may be a shock. And if you're watching this program and you're of the cloth, remember, I didn't say this. God said it. A little higher authority. But this is what he said. All right? Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 10. Many pastors have destroyed my vineyard. They have trodden my portion underfoot. They have made my pleasant portion a desolate wilderness. And they have made it desolate. And being desolate, it mourns to me. The whole land is made desolate, because no man lays it to heart. And when Jesus said, you take away the key because you don't enter within yourself, and them that are entering in, you hindered. So they're not ready for the light. They're not ready for the change which is coming upon the earth. And they look at these things and are trying to decide who did this and who did that, not realizing that who is doing what is being done by nature as this great magnetic shift takes place and this cosmic light comes down. You can't. What I'm telling you, you can't have the status quo anymore. You, as individuals, have got to, wherever you do it. It doesn't mean because you don't come in here in meditation, you're not meditating. I know you are, but you've got to do it. You've got to get into, whether your bathroom or your bedroom, you've got to get into that dark place. You've got to spend that time. Because you've got to get into the harmony with this light, because this is coming, and you're seeing it all over the place. And you're reading about it all over the place. And the scientists are talking about this magnetic shift and this light coming down. And you're seeing God's eye on the National Geographic. And you saw the discovery of the planets. And you saw the teleportation of quantum. You saw the photon, which died and resurrected, came back to life 3 feet away. You're seeing all these things. And the Bible itself said the kingdom of God, the unseen things are made known by the things that are seen. So they have no excuse. You're seeing it all. And it doesn't mean that you have to sit in a bathroom or wherever for 45 minutes. How much time do you have to spend? Blink your eye. That's how much time you have to spend. A lot of times I'll go into just someplace, take a deep breath, and hold for about 10 seconds, and then walk away. Because I'm keeping that pleasant place of God pruned and cleaned so that the fruit can grow there and the weeds are taken away. Because it's coming. And now it's in your backyard with all of the chaos and the confusion and all of these things. It's just like dominoes. One little thing. Somebody had an affair, and that knocks over a domino, and it knocks over somebody else's, and it knocks over, and then the whole damn thing is gone down. But remember, as I told you, as it says in the Bible, 1,000 will fall on your left, 1,000 will fall on your right, but no harm will come to you or your house. Get in harmony with the one who is coming to sweep the floor. Bye-bye.